And that's why I think Noel 6 survived.
Boy, yo, you make Patrick look like a fucking genius.
If you played Halo Reach's Forge mode, after an hour or so of tinkering with all the goodies from the object menus, curiosity led you to the forbidden picnic blanket.
It's got its own thing, grid.
Oh shit!
There you go, yeah.
Oh no, don't rotate it. Oh no, no. This is the grid, the destroyer of worlds. Now, if you took this grid and you rotated it, it would vaporize anything it came into contact with, phasing through the very fabric of reality to kill Spartans and blow up vehicles. However, if you know the sauce, you're aware of the power of the rotation snap setting. If you crank it to 45 or 90 degrees, your grid became twice as deadly. Almost all Halo old heads fear the grid. What was originally supposed to be a measurement tool for precision forging had been turned into a weapon of mass destruction by tons of players who were too bored of Forge to take it seriously, or just wanted to mess with their friends. I'm gonna build a McDonald's. Oh shit! Oh no! Oh no! And now that you're here and you're watching this video, did you really think I was gonna make a deep dive hyperfixating on the grid object from Halo's Forge? You must think I'm psychotic for that one. What do you think, I got brain damage? You really think I'm gonna make a full video on grid lore on April Fool's Day? I got your ass. Chapter 1. The invention of the grid. 1637 to 1900 AD. The Cartesian coordinate system is used to specify location, dimensions, and more behind points in a plane. It's a fundamental mathematical principle crucial to geometry, published by René Descartes in 1637 from his residency in the Netherlands. One couldn't blame this French mathematician for not foreseeing how his creation would change Halo's Forge forever. This began the dramatic rise and tragic downfall of the grid object from Halo's titular Forge mode. Sir, we have a target identified.
It's like you're gonna have
It's like a Dark Souls boss.
special maneuver, spin attack.
Spin attack. Oh no! This grid, of sorts, lays the groundwork of many mathematical principles, many of which are used for measurement necessary for many forms of engineering, including the slope of a line, area of an object, and when calculus is concerned, the slope of a specific point on a line, as well as the area bounded by a curved line using definite integrals. Real quick, a wellness check for the audience. Did I lose you? Are you still following along? Didn't click off yet? You better, this shit's gonna be on the test. This is when the sinister story of Halo's grid truly begins.
Wait, catch me, catch me, catch me! Ah!
Grids are fundamental to many forms of architecture and design. One specific example, overlooked by millions, is the grid plan, a method of urban planning, one where a city's streets and structures are assembled in a grid-like formation, forming blocks which assist in organization and the facilitation of movement throughout a city. The grid plan dates back to ancient times. Many cities in the Indus River Valley civilization, which is now modern-day India and Pakistan, utilized a form of grid pattern back in 2600 BC. The ancient Egyptians, Babylonians, and Romans also planned their urban areas around this principle as well. It's so fundamental to urban planning that the grid plan has even been taken up into the modern age, where we see it in modern cities such as New York, Houston, Los Angeles, as well as dozens of hundreds of other European and Western cities, as well as Asian ones, and cities in Africa. The urban plan is ubiquitous and shows that grids seep into every part of our lives. But grids aren't just used for efficiency in city planning and mathematics. This is Chaturanga. It's a two-player, ancient strategy game played in India back in the 600s, and even possibly earlier. This is its cousin Chaturangi. It's a four-player variant of the same game. In both games, players are tasked with moving their unique pieces around a checkered board of sorts. Chaturanga eventually made its way to Arabia and became a game known as Shatranj, which then was adopted by Europe in the medieval period. This is when the game eventually became known as chess. the 8x8 pawn slaughtering game of moving your queen back and forth for 6 years before calling a stalemate. Chess is iconic, and so is its toddler cousin, checkers. Both games involve pieces dancing about a two-dimensional grid of coordinates, much like Chaturanga. This is a fundamental use of grids in games, one that dates back to the 600s, and it's a simple and archaic way to allow for pieces to move across a play space during gameplay, in a way that allows for the board to be perfectly symmetrical, with uniform movement for each piece. With this development, grids first made their way into entertainment, where they would remain forever. Now, we reach the golden age of grids, specifically in game design. Have you ever launched a level editor? Or perhaps a developer tool program? How about Blender? If you have, you've likely encountered a grid of some kind. As video games model scenery similarly to real life, with buildings full of rooms, as well as bustling cities and towns, the grid is used to accurately shape and scale the vast levels from millions of games we've played. Just like how grids are used to shape the very cities and buildings we live in. From PC RTS games to first-person shooters, the grid has accompanied us along the way, guiding developers and players alike throughout the creation and play of levels and challenges.
When it seems like all is lost, when it feels as if you have no hope, when you are outnumbered, overpowered, and they've got you cornered, that's when you realize your last best hope is you.
With the massive success of Halo Combat Evolved in 2001, and the even bigger hit, Halo 2 in 2004, the much anticipated end to the trilogy was announced to be released in 2007.
There are things about Halo even the hierarchs do not understand.
Halo 3 launched to critical acclaim. The game dominated Western culture and became an overnight sensation. The developers, Bungie, poured everything they had into Halo 3. They even managed to include something very new to this series, a mode that allowed players to create their own custom levels and experiences. This was often unheard of in gaming, especially on console games. Creation tools were usually locked behind the developers, but now, the power of creation was in the hands of the fans. Forge, a free, super accessible tool that anyone could jump in and easily edit multiplayer maps with. You could drop crates, weapons, and vehicles all over the map. Some of these levels that were made by fans would go on to see millions of players in this living ecosystem of a fan base, but this was just the beginning. There wasn't that much flexibility in the mode. A limited map budget and simple objects constrained players to simple map modifications. They couldn't really reshape the maps in a fundamental way. Post-release, Bungie addressed this problem by releasing map packs on the Microsoft Store. These cost 800 Microsoft points, or $10 each. A $10 price tag was steep for 2007, as with 2007 money you could buy roughly 3 Big Macs. Each pack offered 3 new maps. Quite a few of these maps in the first 2 packs offered a lot more objects and creative freedom in Forge, including Avalanche, Foundry, and even Standoff. Some pretty famous Halo modes were created on some of these maps, including Jenga and Trash Compactor, 2 of the most iconic custom creations in Halo 3. Not to mention 2 other impeccable modes, Griffball and Fat Kid, which both saw their origins on Foundry. But the final map pack, the Mythic map pack, offered something different. Sandbox, the best map to ever be a map. Bungie gifted the fanbase with a collection of walls and blocks so they could build whatever they could come up with. The map budget was still fairly small, but was now extended to allow players to treat the map like a sandbox. The map lives up to its name, but there was something interesting introduced in Sandbox. Something big. Notice the blue grid visible on the floor? Sandbox had a grid only visible in Forge mode to help players measure out their builds with ease. And if you lift this cork here, there's a vast coliseum underground. This was perfect for Griffball arenas, And here we are with yet another grid. So Griffball forgers could make use of the grid system as God intended it. What's this? Is that a floating teleporter? Where does it lead? Well, to the sky, of course, where a massive grid spans the entire skybox. I'm about to freaking nut all over this grid. They did it. The madmen did it. They put 3 grids in one map. I'm about to lose my damn mind. This is insane. The sky is literally the limit when it comes to building atop this skybound grid, as you could drop objects onto it while players still fell through it. Just don't stray too far from the protection of the grids or the guardian towers will snipe you. Unless you want to grab the skull at the map boundary for the achievement. Gotta get that gamer score up somehow. Sandbox was such a revolution for Forge, it introduced so many iconic maps and modes, including Halo. No, not like the game Halo, but like the game mode Halo, where the top racists have to race around a track to avoid the infected player's sniper shots. It was frickin' sick, dude. Then there was another personal favorite of mine that I sadly only got to experience once. I was in a customs party as a wee child, and we loaded up on my favorite map and mode combo, just based on how absurd it is, Protect Obama on the White House. It was the best VIP game mode I've ever played. I freaking love it. This series of grids on Sandbox, we'll just call the proto-grids, were not much to write home about. They offered some basic measurement assistance, but are a far cry of what the grid would become in the future of Halo's Forge mode. After Halo 3's life cycle ended, in 2010, Halo Reach was released. As a kid, I wasn't initially sold on it, until I saw the Forge Vidoc. The largest, most insane map to ever be released for Halo was on its way. It would become Halo 3's sandbox on steroids. We got a coliseum, as well as plenty of space in the sky to build, just like in Sandbox. But we also got an island, a box canyon, a rock pillar of sorts, a flat grassy pocket, and caves, sandbars, and beaches to boot. This puts Sandbox and the entirety of Halo 3's Forge to shame. It straight up dumpstered that game's Forge mode. 10 grand for a Forge budget. New tools to make floating blocks and make almost anything you could imagine. Borderline infinite possibility. Countless new objects, one of which returns from Sandbox. Hidden behind the Structures category, at the very bottom of the Forge Objects menu, is the grid. You could only have a handful of grids on a map at a time, but they were worth it. Clocking in as the largest Forge object, the grid was a 2-dimensional blue transparent plane of paper-thin hard light. It consisted of 9 quadrants in a 3x3 formation of 5x5 squares. It was a perfect tool for not just measurement, but also providing floors, walls, and roofs for maps that give your custom levels a slick sci-fi touch. For the cost of 100 Forge dollars, you could create a floor just below the surface of the ocean for a cool flooded map, or seal off a pesky hole in the wall with ease. I also remember this one map that was pretty sick. It was themed after Tron, where players drove around on a bunch of Mongai on top of a grid, while a couple interesting filters were applied to the map to make everything else dark and make that grid pop, as if it was a neon, vaporwave Tron style map. It was really cool, and come on. We all know why we're here.
See ya.
The reason the grid is the most infamous Forge object of all time.
Dude, I just went skyward.
As soon as an irritating little brother or cousin or friend got a hold of one of these babies, there was no stopping them from rotating it about and launching all your hard work, as well as you, into the sky. Whenever anyone got bored of Forge, they would just go to the grid immediately. And grids meant war. Every time one grid came out, another would too. Like the Russian response to the Austrian invasion of Serbia in World War I. Grids led to more grids, led to more grids. A chain reaction of chaos would hit a party of players, leading to mass grid warfare in some cases. Then there was always that weird dude who preferred kill balls in these moments for some reason. Either because he ran out of grids or he was just built different, I guess. Nobody talks to that guy anymore, he's weird. Regardless, at this point, people would try to smash each other while they were in Forge monitor mode using grids, and it got bloody.
between both grids.
Oh, I found you. I found. Oh.
This was the Griefer's main weapon in Halo Reach, loved and hated by millions. But at the end of the day, it's become a pretty huge part of Halo nostalgic culture, so it's pretty iconic right now.
To the Coliseum.
The wall. I'm on top of I'm on top of it.
While I'd love to conclude the complete history of the grid featured in the Halo franchise on a high note, we gotta mention the grid in Halo 4. Yep, the fabled World Eater from Halo Reach returned, and much like most of Halo 4, it's just an exact port from Halo Reach. Seriously, pretty much everything but the actual good art style was ported into Halo 4, and as we all know, Halo 4's Forge mode was a significant step down from Halo Reach. There were these 3 garbage canvases that didn't even hold a candle to Forge World, and there's that annoying whistling sound that plays when you're in edit mode, which makes me want to throw my computer out the window. Because of how mid and... okay, not mid, it's garbage. Because of how terrible this Forge mode was, players just didn't want to play it. They just didn't hop on. And so, of course, very few used the grid in Halo 4. The golden age of the grid was Halo Reach. And sadly, since 2012, the grid has not returned to Halo's Forge mode. Even Halo Infinite, a Forge with so many objects, more than ever before, including campaign AI, scripting, and music, has no grid. Our old friend has been forgotten. We probably won't see our favorite 2D genocide machine again, as it's completely fallen from grace into obscurity, or will likely remain forever. But that doesn't stop us from remembering the collective trauma and comedy we shared on Forge World whenever the grids came out. Like and subscribe or I'll hit you with a grid.